Hello everyone, Argsy here. Very exciting today to be taking a look at a mod that I have created myself, and this is my first mod that's going to be on the mod hub for cross-platform, both PC and console, and I must say I'm pretty excited to have finally got to this stage. It's taken me a while, and standing here looking at it, it could be that it's quite a simple mod and doesn't make much sense, but let me go through and explain it to you and what it is. Now this is called Anywhere Object Storage, and the purpose of this mod is to allow you to turn any shed, or almost any shed, into an object storage. So we've got 4 different versions, and I'm going to go through each and every one. Now I've tried to make it as universal for shed sizes, but there is just such a vast number of sheds out there. I've kind of picked a couple of sizes, and hopefully it will provide enough flexibility to work through them. So let's go and take a look at each of these. I'll explain the features. They're very similar across all of them. There's just a couple of small variations. So we'll go and take a look at how to get them all set up in a shed and what the best way to do that is. So firstly, where will you find these in the build menu? Well, they are under silos, and if we scroll across here, you'll see the 4 of them here. The Anywhere Object Storage mod all have the same name, but slightly different prices and slightly different jobs. So this one here is the larger one. This is 500 pieces of storage. We've got a smaller one, it's called Short, which holds 250 items. We've got an outdoor bale storage, which only holds bales, it doesn't hold pallets, and that's 500 pieces. And then we've got a field bale storage, which again only holds bales and only 200 pieces. What's the difference between each of them? Well, we'll go through and explain that. But you can see there, I've deliberately set the price very low because for me, this is a quality of life mod. This gives you the chance to be able to store bales in a shed without having the exploding bales and all those kind of things. You can still do all the manual work to get them out of the field and delivered it to your shed, but you don't have to have the pain of trying to stack them in there. And as well as that was to be able to convert existing sheds on pre-made farms. I'm thinking things like the Oaks and a number of other farms that have a huge number of sheds already. It seemed silly to be placing down an object storage and not using something like this. So that is the purpose of it. So we'll go down and take a look at each of them. So first things first, here is the Anywhere Object Storage. This is the bigger of the 2 for the sheds. This one holds 500 pieces of bales and pallets and everything like that. Now there's a few key features to them. Firstly, the grid on the front here is to allow you to be able to place it, as are the poles. So the grid shows where your bales will spawn and where the dump point is for them. The poles, that shows the storage area that will be taken up in the shed. So the idea is you can place those, and we'll have a look at that in just a little bit. Now, otherwise, everything else is very similar to the way Giants one is set up. We've got a dump point, we've got a unload point, and if we come over and stand in the right spot, I have to have my field info on, but you can see down there we're at the Any Shed Object Storage. Press R, it's telling us the storage is empty. There's nothing in there at the moment. So the purpose again of the grid is just to help you with placing it. If you come over here to this exclamation mark, this is a trigger, which when you click on it will hide the poles and the grid, leaving you with just the loading area and the icons. Now, I have noticed that this is floating a little bit higher than I'd like it to. I will try and get that corrected and lowered down so it sits closer to the ground. But the reason for that is because when this is placed, you don't actually need to level the ground. You're wanting to place this with toggle free mode on rather than off, so it doesn't actually do any ground leveling or anything like that, and we'll get into that again in just a little bit. But like I said, you've got all your triggers. Now if we just come into here, I'm just going to spawn some pallets and bales in just to show you how it all works. And there we go, we've put in a selection of bales. There is all sorts in here. Now one other thing to comment about as well is there isn't actually a collision in here. Unlike the Giants one, you can actually walk in here, which does mean you can go through the bales and things like that, but the reason for that is obviously the shed, I want it to be able to be still used for storing a tractor or equipment in. So when it's empty, you can leave it, have equipment in there, you can have tractors, whatever you might want to store in there. When you want to put bales in, you'd want to pull those out so you didn't have that clash. But as you can see, we do have this one here, which is the larger one, will hold 500 items and will hold any of the base game pallets and bales and everything like that. So moving on from here, let's go and take a look at the next one. This one is exactly the same as the first one we looked at. This is the smaller version, or the short version. Once again, same trigger and everything like that. It just suits a smaller shed. So really, nothing different to look at between the two of them. Works in exactly the same way and has half the capacity of the big one, 250 items. So a good amount of storage and a good way to use it. Now, moving on to the next two. These two are specifically for bales. So the idea here with this one, as you can see the straw on the ground, this is an outdoor bale storage. So you might have wrapped bales, you might have straw bales, or something like that that you don't have shed space for, or you don't want to put in a shed. So this would simulate or give you a way to be able to stack bales in an organized manner outside. So once again, everything is all on the other side here. Just go across and we'll click on the trigger and everything will disappear. Now the idea is the straw plane there does show you where the bales go. So you know that's your storage area. If you're doing it on top of a yard, again, you want to use this toggle free mode for placing that, because if you have, let's say, a stone area down, you don't want that to be flattened off. We've got a little bit of decoration over here, and again there is a trigger that you can hide that. So if it was in the way, if it was an obstruction, you can hide that and get rid of it. But otherwise everything else works pretty much exactly the same. Let's just go and do a test. I will just demonstrate. We'll dump some bales in, but we'll also put a couple of pallets of seed and just show you that those won't go in here. And there you go, we've stacked a whole lot of big square straw bales in there, and they have, and the bags of seed are left here because they're not accepted in. It is purely a bale storage, and it is titled that. It is called the outdoor bale storage. Now moving on to the very last one, and the immediate difference you'll notice is that this does not do any ground leveling, clearing, or anything like that. This is the field bale storage. You see that there on the name, and it has a capacity of 200 bales. Once again, exactly the same here as all the others. You can hide the marker grid and the marker poles. The purpose of the field bale storage though is to be set up in the edge of a field when you might have bales that you don't want to take straight back to the farm, but you want to clear them off the grass off the field so that you can get in and do some tillage, some planting, or whatever might be coming next. So the idea is that you find a relatively level area in the farm, in the field, and you put this down here. This only had a very cheap price. This is only $1,000, so it's not a huge expense, but you do pay for the convenience. The one thing with this, the way that the bale storage works, if you put it on any sort of gradient, the bales will sit horizontally. They will just sit there floating, and that is just the way the object storage works. It won't follow ground terrain. But I look at it as the fact that if you're going to stack bales on the side of a field, you're not going to put them on the side of the slope because they're inclined to fall over. You will find a reasonably flat part of the field to do it. So that is the field bale storage capacity of 200 bales. So that is the 4 versions, and that is how each of them work. Now we're going to go over, I have got some base game sheds set up over here, and I'm just very quickly going to demonstrate exactly how these should be used. So we're going to start off here with the AnyShed object storage, the large 500 capacity one, and as you can see, when we put it in there at the moment, it does say it overlaps with another object. It's not meant to be placed in there. That is where we need to use the toggle free mode. There's a V here on our keyboard. Sorry, I don't know what the control is on console, but if you have your menu up, you'll be able to see that. We click V, turn toggle free mode on. That is going to enable us to place this in there. So if we wanted it tucked over on the left-hand side, or over here on the right hand side, we're using the poles to mark where our storage is going to be. So I'm just going on the edge of the steel posts, either way, and we're going to plonk that down there. And there you go. Now we've got that area put down. You can come through and landscape in underneath that, and like I said, the markers aren't floating quite so much in here. Go and get that turned off, and we've turned this shed into the ability to use it for object storage. Like I said, you can still use it for parking and things like that. There's no collision in here, but obviously you do want to move your equipment out of the way if you need to. Taking a look at the second shed here, and in fact, if I just show you the Anywhere object storage, the large one, you can see there if we were to use that in this shed, it would stick out. It would probably work quite well over in the shed there on the left. We're going to use the smaller one, which is kind of designed with this shed in mind, but will work in other sheds. Once again, we've got an overlap there. We need to turn the toggle free mode back on. A bit of a look around, try and figure out the best place to place this one. And there we go. You can see the timber poles are just inside the steel frames. So again, if we put that down there, we can see exactly where that's gone. Now, there is the ability to paint over top of it. So if it does do this out the front, you can obviously go into the landscape mode. Pick your favourite surface, if it's a stone, if it's in front of a yard or something like that. Paint over top of that there. And then with the trigger turned off, everything's going to work. Now, once again, it is floating. It is very difficult to get that set at the right height because obviously it is defined by the height that the pad is made level at, but again, some ground leveling could bring that up so it doesn't show, or if you're like me, I often play with these turned off anyhow, so they're not actually a hindrance when you're playing, and again, they don't actually get in the way, it is just a visual thing. So having a look here, we do have one more shed just to show how it would work in here. Again, this one's a little bit different. It does have the concrete floor, but again, we'll bring up the build menu, find our silo, find our large one, would probably be a good option for using in here. Get right down in there, put toggle free mode on, and once again, we've got the ability to put that down and come and turn off all the markers. And again, another shed that now has object storage in it. So very handy. I'm going to find this really helpful. It's something I've wanted, so hopefully you will find it useful as well. Now I'm just going to jump out of this map and we're going to go and have a look on a map. I'm going to go to the Oaks and show you how this might work and a couple of the sheds that are on there. Just again, a farm, a map with pre-built farms, and actually what gave me the inspiration for doing it through our Oaks series to come up with something like this. So here we are at the Oaks, and if you're familiar with our series we've been doing there, this is our farm that we actually have on the map, and this is what actually gave me some of the inspiration, because we had so many sheds, and in particular this barn here behind us, it didn't make much sense to actually demolish this to be able to put up a shed. So the idea was you could play the map the way the map maker intended it to be. So using this one as an example, just going to bring up our build menu and we're going to go to silos. I'm actually going to put down for this one right across here. I'm actually just going to put the bale storage one in. So there it is. Get ourselves in nice and close. Now again, turn on V. We're actually going to put on C for this one as well, so we can snap to the shed and try and get this down in here. So there we are. Now this shed isn't actually quite square to the snap mode we have it on. That is just one of the limitations, but at least we go and put that down there. We can go and have a look. So we've now got the ability to turn that one there off. In fact, we might go, because we don't need the decoration on here either. I'm going to go down and hide that. Get rid of that, and now we have a pre-built shed already on the map that's going to work for some bale storage. And again, we just come in here to easy dev, we'll just spawn a few bales and get some stacked in there. And there we go, the bale shed is functioning the way it should be without the hassle of having to put the bales in ourselves. We've got a stack there, put some grass, some hay, some straw, some silage in there as well. So you can see everything is all stacked away nice and neatly and none of the hassles. Of course, it also helps with performance because those aren't actually seen as standalone bales. And last but not least, we might as well do it in one more shed just to prove our point. We'll put the big object storage in this one. Again, we've navigated down so we can see. Looks like this one might actually snap quite handily, but just to be mindful of where your spawn area is. So I'm actually going to put this kind of actually almost in the middle. A few different ways. You could actually bring it right forward and have your spawn on the outside so you don't actually have to go into the shed, or you could go back. So I think what might happen here is we might actually be better off using the small one, putting that right in the back corner. Have our free mode put on, of course, toggle free mode. There we go. And we could actually put a second one in on the other side as well. Just really double down on the storage in there. So you could use this for fertilizer on one side, seed on the other, or something like that if you wanted to manage how things were put in there. But again, got the triggers in there. I think the trigger must be on the other side. Can we reach it through the wall? No. We can go around the outside and turn that one off as well. So that is how it can be used. Anywhere object storage, converting everyday sheds already put into maps into an object storage and allowing you to play the map the way the map maker intended it. So there we go, that's a look here and a bit of instructions on how to use my first mod that's going to be released on Mod Hub for all platforms, console and PC. Love to get your feedback on what you think of it, whether you find it useful or not, any issues you have. Please drop a comment down below or come along to the Discord server and leave me some feedback in there. I will have a specific channel in there where you can add any comments or report any bugs that you might come across, or if there was a size that you thought would be really good, we could look to add some more options in to the package, change some sizes around and make them more flexible to provide different options for different size sheds. So yeah, please let me know. I'd love to have your feedback and love to hear what you think of it. And again, if you do use it and you do enjoy it, do make sure that you give it a rating on ModHub. It would be very much appreciated. So, as always, I hope you found this video useful. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.